Hey everyone, thanks for joining me for today's video. I'm going to be reviewing the makeup from the drugstore category that I've used over the past year that I've loved the most and that I would recommend to you. I did a high-end and luxury makeup picks from the past year in a video that posted right before this. So if you're interested, go check that out and I'll link it below. The way I'm going to do this video is like that one. I'm going to go through categories from primer, which is my first makeup step, all the way through setting spray, and share with you what I consider to be my very top picks from drugstore makeup. Now, the only disclaimer is that these are products that I currently have in my collection. There's lots of products sitting in the drugstore that aren't in my collection that are certainly worth mentioning. So I'm just sharing with you the ones that met the following criteria, which are the same criteria I used in the high-end and luxury video. These are products that applied well, they had great performance, I reached for them often, and I would definitely repurchase them when they run out, or I will definitely repurchase them when they run out. And I'm going to challenge myself to do this video fairly quickly because it is the day after New Year's. We have it off and we're going to see the movie Avatar, hopefully in 3D. We haven't decided that yet. If you've seen Avatar, let me know your opinions below. There won't be any spoilers since by the time that this posts, I will have seen the movie and it's well over 3 hours. So woo, let me get rolling so that we can get to the movie theater and get seated. Okay, so I'm going to try to stick to no more than 2 recommendations per category, although really if I were true to form, I'd be doing like just one really top recommendation, but it's so hard. By the way, there's some categories, this is my own personal opinion, where I feel like the drugstore absolutely beats high-end and luxury in all of those categories that I mentioned, and on top of that is a lot more affordable. And there's one category in particular where I really do think high-end and luxury does it better, and I'll talk about that in a minute. Starting off with primer, my 2 top recommendations from what I have in my collection. If you can find it, sometimes this is available and other times no one knows where to find it. It's the e.l.f. Jelly Primer and it's a dew primer. This is one that has a little bit of a sticky feel like the Milk Hydro Grip, that same type of feel. And it has a little bit of a dewy effect if you like that sort of thing on your face, underneath your foundation and so forth. As you can tell, I'm very much into a glowy look these days, although I do have my days that I prefer to be matte. So there are other products giving me this glowy look, not this one because this is what I have on my face, which is the Marshmallow Primer from NYX. And this is, I think, supposed to be equivalent to like that Airbrush Vanish primer from Hourglass. It gives a little bit of a blurring effect. I put this on under my makeup, but I have to say I do have a moisturizer on that gives me a lot of dewiness underneath, and it's the Supergoop Play Everyday Lotion with the SPF 50. This is what's giving me the glow, and I also have an oil on my face underneath, but that's neither here nor there. This is a nice blurring primer and pretty long lasting and fairly affordable, and what a cute pink bottle. So then typically after primer, I will apply my eyeshadow base, my concealer, and my foundation. So in the category of eyeshadow base, I don't have any here to show you because I've run through them and I'm moving into trying to use up some of my higher end ones before I purchase new ones. But I would highly advise the Milani eyeshadow primer. It's a really good one. It's a lot like the Urban Decay Magic Potion, but I think if I'm not mistaken, the Milani one has a little bit of tint to it to give you some coverage on your eyeshadow area before you apply. I also like the Ulta one, but I will not repurchase that because it goes drier and like expires faster than the Milani one. The Milani one can last for well over a year. So I would advise picking that one up if you're in the neighborhood for an eyeshadow primer. In the category of concealer, there's some really good ones. I like the LA Girl concealer a lot, but I picked from my collection the Catrice Liquid Camouflage. This is one that I've repurchased over and over again. I'm wearing this today in the color Hazelnut Beige 36. And I made some comments in the high-end and luxury video about concealer and how I choose it and the fact that, you know, I have aging eyes. So no matter what, I'm going to have a little bit of texture under my eyes. But this is fairly long-lasting and does really well. I also like the e.l.f. Camouflage one, but not the hydrating one, the other one. There's like a matte one. But my real top pick from the drugstore has to be the Milani Conceal and Perfect Concealer. This is the Longwear Concealer. This particular one is in the color 130 Light Beige. I think that this is just a super high performing concealer that really does conceal and perfect as much as possible, especially for someone like me who's in her late 40s, approaching 50, and I do have a lot of texture under my eyes. This very much rivals any high-end or luxury concealer any time of day, so I would advise this one. The category of foundation, I'm a foundation junkie. As I said in the previous video, I have well over 50 foundations and probably another 10 to 15 that I have my eye on and want to bring into my collection. Nobody needs that much foundation. Maybe I should have just 2 or 3, but I really, really love them. The Drugstore does a fabulous job on foundations. They have some really good ones that maybe do better than high-end and luxury, arguably. I have 2 long-standing favorites that I can highly advise. There's the L'Oreal Infallible 24-Hour Fresh Wear Foundation. Look, it doesn't matter what kind of skin you have, whether it's dry or it's oily or whatever. This is a really reliable foundation. You can see mine is starting to separate, but I've had this one, goodness, probably 5 or 6 years, and I've repurchased it. By the way, with foundations, do as I say, not as I do. Make sure that you are shaking them up every couple of weeks to keep them blended. I should have done that before this video. My humble apologies, but I'm human. So anyway, I have this in 2 or 3 separate colors, and it lasts all day. It applies beautifully. It gives you medium coverage, but yet it's thin on your face, so long as you don't cake it on. I mean, y'all, you can cake on any foundation and apply too much, so I would advise going on in thin layers. Start off with something thin. If you want more coverage, apply a little more. I personally like to apply with a wet sponge. And one great drugstore sponge is the Real Techniques sponge. If you want to go on Amazon, I would advise, or any other online site that sells them, the Paw, I think they're called Paw or Paw sponges are really good too. In fact, let me show you. They look like this, the Paw Wonder Blenders. This pack is, I think, what comes in here? A lot. 6-pack. And I think you can get this for like $2 at the most. So this is phenomenal value. But if not, the Real Techniques sponge is fabulous. I'm getting off track. Let me get back on track and say this one lasts the whole day. It won't fail you. It performs really well, unless you're in super sweaty, hot weather. I mean, any foundation is going to start to break up, you know, under those conditions. But this one performs fairly well for most of the day. And like I said, of the drugstore foundations that I have tried, this has the most skin-like natural finish with smooth coverage for most kinds of skin types. And then I'm done. If you want a really full coverage matte look that's going to go all through the day, my opinion, and if you're an oily gal like me, nothing beats the Maybelline Fit Me Matte and Poreless Foundation. This one is in the color 310 Sun Beige for my summery, more tanned looking skin. I don't have this on today either. I'll share what I have on, but this one, this rivals like the Estee Lauder Double Wear that gives you full coverage, will cover up all of your imperfections and have you being your best self, especially if you have to go to an event where you want to be taking pictures and you want your skin to be flawless and matte for photos and not have any reflection back. Fantastic. What I have on my skin today, I would say, is a runner-up. And there's 2 foundations from Catrice. One of them is what I have on, the HD Liquid Coverage Foundation. This one is supposed to be mattifying. Again, remember that I have a very, very juicy, dewy moisturizer on underneath, so you see that shine coming through. And then there's another one from Catrice. All of the Catrice foundations have been great for me, so this is a really nice one. The only thing I don't like is it's a dropper formulation. I mean, that gets messy, but it does the job. So then next, I would normally apply some kind of powder to set my foundation. I don't always do that, but on days when I know I'm not going to be messing with my makeup for a long time, I do apply powder. And my very favorite is the Maybelline Fit Me powder. People rave about this, and with good reason. You can see I'm about to finish this one up. I have this in 2 colors. This one is light medium 20, and then I think I have 25 or something that's more, a little bit darker than this. This is what I have on today, and I always apply it very lightly with a big round brush. Tap it in and then tap off the excess and very gently press around my face. And although I'm oily and although I want some shine to come through, it helps me to not get like mega oil slick oily. This is finely milled, really nice texture, and will rival any really expensive powder out there on the market. I would also advise, if it's still available in your area, the Wet n Wild Photo Focus Banana Powder. What is this called? The Loose Setting Powder. This stuff, it's a little bit yellow, this particular one, the banana one, but you can see that it does so well. You don't even notice the yellow on your skin. It just gives a tiny bit of warmth to your skin and is really also a finely milled, fantastic powder. You also can't go wrong, friends. I'm breaking my rule and I'm giving you 3. Good old Coty Airspun Loose Face Powder. I have it in several colors. This is the translucent extra coverage, and then I have some other color down there. Wow, the smell is potent. The perfume in here is strong, but this is a fantastic, really affordable, finely milled face powder. Next, I typically apply a bronzer, and I have had a favorite bronzer from the drugstore for years and years. And I have this probably in about 5 colors, which tells you how much I love it. It's the Physicians Butter Bronzer. This one here is in the color Deep Bronzer, and it's what I'm wearing today on my face. I have it in even deeper colors than this. You see, I have hit pan. I'm really proud. Listen, I have about 50 bronzers also. So for me to see any silver on any of my products is a big deal, considering that I rotate through them quite often. I also have this in lighter colors. If you happen to have paler skin that's more on the ivory side, there's a really nice light color here in this range that's good for you. And there's also one, I think it's called like, what is it called? Endless Summer or something? That's a little bit darker if you have a more deeper chocolate tone to you. These are fabulous. It's hard to beat them. They're a little bit pricey for drugstore. I think they're in like the 16 or 17-ish dollar range. If you're in the US, sometimes a little less, sometimes a little bit more, but worth every penny. I don't love the packaging. I think the packaging is bulky and goofy, and it has the nerve to come with a mirror, which I never use. And there's a little brush that usually sits in there that I typically throw away, but fantastic bronzer. Next, I usually do eyeshadow. And I have to be really honest with you. This is one where I'm an eyeshadow snob. For lots of products, I'm not. But when it comes to eyeshadow, I have become really snooty and really prefer high-end and luxury shadows because I feel like they typically will outperform over time, outperform their drugstore counterparts. What I mean by that is the formula is typically superior, my own opinion, my own experience, and they last longer throughout the day. So I'll apply, and I'm not talking about all formulas. I'm talking about the formulas that you've heard me rave about. Not all formulas are made the same in high-end and luxury. So let me just review if you're new to my channel. We're talking about Natasha Denona, Pat McGrath. I like Scott Barnes too, although you typically cannot find his shadows anywhere but on his website. And then Sydney Grace. I know this guy's controversial. I'm not here to talk about controversy. I really also love the Jeffree Star eyeshadows. Beautiful. I have the cremated palette, one of my favorite grayish white silver palettes ever. Fantastic. But we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about drugstore eyeshadows. So I have to say that I have given away most of my drugstore eyeshadows. The formula that I can recommend, so this is affordable and you'll get some variety. It's the e.l.f. eyeshadows. They don't last as long as some of the formulas that I just mentioned, but let me tell you, these little pans here, these little 4-pan doohickeys, whatever you call them, palettes, for you to get them for $3 or $4, you can't beat this. This is in the color Pumpkin Pie. These are called the bite-size eyeshadow palettes. Pumpkin Pie, and then I also have Rose Water, which is more cool tone. Both of these are really good. They've made it through multiple eyeshadow declutters. I really enjoy them, particularly this warm tone. As you can see, this is obviously my color scheme here. And if you're okay paying a little bit more than typical drugstore prices for eyeshadow, I do enjoy the ColourPop formula. So I have this on my eyes today. This is Going Coconuts. This is a palette that was raved about when it first came out. Here's what I'm talking about with high-end and luxury shadows, the ones that I mentioned outperforming. So when I first got this, these colors were a lot easier to work with and more buttery. Over time, some of the shadows have gotten more crumbly. That can happen with some high-end formulas too, but I haven't had that experience with the ones that I've mentioned. For example, this color here, which is Palm Reader, has gotten very crumbly and dusty. I have this in the inner corners of my eyes, and I had a lot of fallout from them. I didn't have fallout from Cocoa Crush, this color here. Anyway, and I have this color through the crease, that color on the outer V area. I didn't do any under eyeliner today, and I didn't do any over eyeliner. I wanted a simple look for our movie excursion. But anyway, ColourPop is the one that I would go with if I had to choose. So then next, I typically do mascara, and I love the black voluminous one from L'Oreal. I also like the pink one from that same line, I believe. And then a lot of people love the Essence mascaras. I particularly like this one with the green formula called the Lash Princess False Lash Effect Mascara. Really nice, lasts all day. I still prefer my two from the high-end and luxury category, but these are fine, and those L'Oreal mascaras are great too. Next, I'll typically do my eyebrows, and I don't have any to show you because I've gone through them, and I prefer my high-end and luxury eyebrow pencils more. I usually use a pencil, but I can recommend, there's a Maybelline one, and I love it in the color soft brown for myself. It doesn't last quite as long as, say, my Anastasia Brow Wiz and all of that, but in a pinch it will do, and if you need an affordable option, I would advise that. And I bet you all know some other options that I haven't tried out, so please drop them in the comments for eyebrow pencils. In terms of an eyebrow gel, I like the NYX one. I've used mine up and thrown it out, and probably will repurchase another one soon, but that one is great for brushing through your eyebrows and giving them shape and keeping them in place all day, and adding a little bit of color without being goopy and gross. Then I'll typically do cheeks or some kind of blush. I have to tell you, the Milani baked blushes really take the cake. This is in the color Luminoso. There are some that have like a floral imprint in them as well that are beautiful. They apply well. Look, Luminoso has been talked about on YouTube for forever. And there's good reason. It applies well. This particular formula has a little bit of shimmer to it that helps to add some glow, as you see. But they apply so well, so smooth and easy, and really have decent lasting power. So this is one. I also have recently fallen in love with the Physicians Formula Butter Blush. This is in matte, and it's the Mauve Matte. And what I like is that depending on the kind of color that you want, you can go a little bit lighter, middle, or a little bit more berry here. Forgive my janky nails, y'all. And you can just place your brush strategically, especially if you use a smaller blush brush, to get the kind of color that you want. Fantastic. Next, I will go to lip liner and lipstick. In the lip liner category, I think Rimmel takes it. Let me know if you have found a formula that's better. They come in pencil form. This is the color Tiramisu. This is what I'm wearing today. Kind of like a pinky nudie color. And then I also have the color Addiction. And this is in like a, whatever you call these push-up ones. There's a name for it that I'm forgetting, which is more like in the, almost like a purpley pink color, but there's a lot of variety of colors in these, warm to cool tone and everything in between. And these perform well, they go on smoothly, and they stay on most of the day. Again, like with most lip liners, they'll come off if you eat something super greasy and you have to reapply, but these are fabulous. Now, lipstick is one category where I think the drugstore sometimes can outperform the higher end and luxury counterparts, particularly when you consider price point, and that some high end and luxury lipsticks want $40, $50, $60 even for freaking lipstick. Of course, I pay them because I'm crazy, but my very favorite drugstore formulas are just as good. I'm wearing today one of my favorites from L'Oreal, and this is from their sort of nude collection. This is 800 Fairest Nude on my lips now. It's a little bit of a creamy formula. You can get these lipsticks for, gosh, what? You know, anywhere from $5 to $8 or $9, depending on how they're priced at the store that you go to. There's a number of matte options. I love the ones in the black containers, and I have a lot of the mattes. This one is the color Honey Matte 740. I just adore these. The same is true with the Maybelline lipsticks that look like this. I particularly love the matte formula, although I also love a nice creamy formula if I'm in the mood for it. But you can't beat these. These are great for the price, and lots of variety in color. They go on well, smoothly. They last a long time. Lots of variety. Fantastic. Then I usually go in with a highlighter. I don't even know if these are sold yet, but I still use them and I still have them. These are the Essence Pure Nude highlighters. This is the highlighter, and this is the sunlighter. The sunlighter is much more of a bronzy effect. This is what I have on now. I have this one on now. Sorry, the this is in the color 10, Be My Highlight, and this is in the color 4, Be My Sunlight. But the Sunlighter has, as you see, more of like a shiny effect, and then the highlighter is a little bit more subtle. Remember that some of my glow is coming from that Luminoso blush and from the juicy moisturizer that I use today. The reason that I love these so much is that they're nice, they're subtle, they apply in a very skin-like fashion, they don't accentuate texture. Some of this texture is coming from just my natural texture and the dewiness underneath accentuating that, but these are fabulous, and you can use them as eyeshadow too if you want a nice glowy subtle look. And then if you want a finishing powder, I would recommend the Milani ones. This is in the color Radiant 04 and has a little bit of sparkle, as you see there, and it just helps to bring your whole look together, kind of like those Hourglass ambient powders that I mentioned. Let's see if we can get the effect here. So it just kind of helps to blend the whole look together, give a little bit more luminosity to the face, but like in an even fashion. I really enjoy this. So I've been using this one for years from Milani. Let me know if you have any recommendations. Part of what happens with me in the drugstore is when I find products that I like, I'll just repurchase them over and over again. I tend to experiment more when it comes to high-end and luxury products because I get caught up in that Sephora sale, y'all, and those Ulta sales. And then for setting spray, I actually have 2 recommendations. My very, very favorite, if you can find it, is from Catrice again, and this is called the Illuminating Prime and Fine Dewy Glow Fixing Spray. That's a long name. There's also a matte version, but I really prefer this one. Fantastic, like hairspray for your face, lasts forever. Smells, does it smell good? I don't remember what this smells like. I was gonna say it smells good, but to be honest with you, I don't remember, so I can't say that. But it's fantastic, and again, long lasting and fine. It really is a fine mist. And I would also recommend the NYX ones. This one is in matte. There's a dewy version of this. These go on really finely too and are really easy to use. And again, really pull your look together quite nicely. The Catrice one is what I have on today, which again has added a little bit of extra dewiness to my look. So that's it for today, friends. Let me know your thoughts on these products, and please share your drugstore favorites in the comments so that we can all benefit from each other's recommendations. Have a great one. I'll see you in the next video.